Welcome back to SN Studios. Today we've got a gripping story, straight from the heart of Birmingham. This is the story of a man who was both feared and respected. A shadowy figure known to many, yet understood by few. We're talking about Suleman Khan, also known as the General, or simply Sully. Sully hailed from the Moseley area of Birmingham, a place that was once synonymous with his name. His reputation in the underworld was that of a ghost, silent, secretive, but very much present. Sully wasn't just any criminal, he was a mastermind, deeply entrenched in the drug trade, importing illegal substances that flowed through the veins of the city like a silent epidemic. But Sully was more than just a drug lord. He was a man of influence, feared by many, respected by even more. His name alone carried weight, enough to silence any who dared to cross his path. For years he operated under the radar, keeping his dealings out of the public eye, while controlling a network that spread far beyond Birmingham. One of Sully's most infamous activities was the protection racket he ran on Ladypool Road. Local businesses were forced to pay Sully for protection, a sum that ensured their safety and the continued operation of their livelihoods. It was an open secret in the area, one that everyone knew about, but no one dared to speak of. For years, these businesses paid their dues, caught in a cycle of fear and obligation. Sully's reach was long, and his power undeniable. No one questioned it, no one challenged it. He was, after all, the General, a title he didn't just claim, but earned through years of ruthless efficiency and strategic dominance. On the 29th of July, 2004, the Sparkhill area of Birmingham was the scene of a cold-blooded execution. Azmat Yaqub, better known as Tony Azmat, a local kickboxing champion and a reformed gangster, was gunned down in broad daylight as he worked out at the Chic Physique gym. Tony had been talking with friends when two men entered the gym. Without warning, they opened fire at close range. Tony was hit multiple times in the head and chest. Witnesses later recalled hearing up to 10 shots ring out, sending waves of panic through the crowded gym. The gunmen, one white and one black, fled the scene, escaping in a light-colored BMW 5 Series with a third accomplice. Police were quick to label the murder as a contract killing, suspecting that the gunmen were foreign hitmen. Despite several arrests, no charges were brought, and the killers remain at large to this day. This wasn't the first attempt on Tony's life. 18 months prior, he had narrowly escaped death when a shooter fired at him in Small Heath. Tony had been wearing a bulletproof vest at the time, suffering only a minor shoulder injury. However, his companion, Shaham Ali, wasn't as lucky. He was shot in the head and later died in the hospital. The first attack, much like the second, was also believed to be a contract hit. Descriptions of the shooters were chillingly detailed. The first, a white male aged 25-35, was described as having a thin face, almost balding hair, and wearing dark clothing with black frame glasses. The second, a black male of the same age range, had a slim to medium build, short hair, and also wore dark clothing and glasses. The BMW driver, a tall black man with a large build, completed the trio, all dressed for the kill. Rumours quickly swirled around Tony's murder. Some speculated that he had become embroiled in a dispute at Birmingham Central Mosque, potentially involving another man's love affair. The mosque, known as Europe's largest Islamic centre, was a focal point for these speculations, but nothing was ever confirmed. But the most persistent rumour was that Suleman Khan, Sully, was the man behind the hit. Tony had made enemies in the underworld by seizing drugs from dealers, angering their suppliers. It was said that Sully, from his safe haven in Pakistan, had orchestrated Tony's murder by hiring 2 Dutch hitmen. When Sully returned to the UK, he was questioned by police, but no charges were ever brought against him. Tony Azmat's murder remains one of Birmingham's most notorious unsolved crimes. A man who had tried to turn his life around, caught in the deadly crossfire of the city's criminal underworld. Was Sully truly the mastermind behind this brutal killing? Or was it the work of others, hidden deep within the shadows? we're peeling back yet another layer of this complex web, revealing the powerful connections that made Sully one of the most feared figures in the criminal underworld. At the center of these connections were two brothers from Liverpool, Jason and Ian Fitzgibbon. Jason and Ian Fitzgibbon were no ordinary criminals. They were heavyweight players in the UK's drug trade, deeply entrenched in the business of importing vast quantities of heroin into the country. Their criminal empire reached far beyond Liverpool, stretching into the heart of Europe and beyond. By 2013, the Fitzgibbon brothers had amassed a fortune through their illicit activities. Their operations were global and their contacts extensive. Among these contacts were Dutch criminals, well known for their expertise in organized crime. It was these very contacts that Sully is rumored to have tapped into when orchestrating the hit on Tony Azmat. According to whispers on the street, Sully turned to Jason Fitzgibbon to arrange the hit on Tony Azmat. The Fitzgibbons had the connections, the resources, and most importantly, the ability to bring in highly skilled hitmen from abroad, men who could carry out the job with ruthless efficiency and leave no trace behind. But the Fitzgibbons' criminal empire wouldn't last forever. In 2013, both Jason and Ian were sentenced to a total of 30 years in prison for importing £6 million worth of heroin from Turkey. Their downfall marked the end of an era in Liverpool's underworld, but it also highlighted the deep, tangled networks that had sustained their operations for so long. Their arrest and conviction sent shockwaves through the criminal community, but it also raised questions. Questions about how far their influence had reached, and who else might have been involved in their operations. For Sully, it was another close call, another brush with law enforcement that he managed to evade. The connection between Sully and the Fitzgibbon brothers paints a clearer picture of how deeply embedded Sully was in the world of organized crime. These weren't just business associates. They were allies in a world where loyalty is rare and betrayal is often deadly. The rumor that Sully hired the hitmen who took out Tony Azmat through Jason Fitzgibbon's Dutch contacts is chilling. Yet, like so much in the underworld, it's a truth that's difficult to prove. Sully's reign as Birmingham's underworld kingpin came crashing down in April 2014. After years of evading the law, Sully was finally caught, this time not for drugs or violence, but for a tax fraud scheme amounting to £450,000. The man once known as the General was sentenced to 4 years in prison. But Sully's troubles didn't end there. In 2016, he was handed an additional 10-year sentence for refusing to repay £2.2 million. His refusal to cooperate in a proceeds of crime hearing sealed his fate, extending his stay behind bars. Once feared and respected, Sully's empire began to crumble. The very properties and businesses that fueled his criminal activities now lay abandoned, a stark contrast to the power he once wielded. More than 4,000 miles away in the town of Gorgushti, Pakistan, a massive, unfinished mansion stands as a monument to Sully's ambition. Locals call it the Don's House. Surrounded by armed guards, this 2-acre site remains an empty shell, a symbol of dreams left unfulfilled. Built with plans for a cinema, library, and even servants' quarters, the mansion now sits deserted, a ghost of Sully's former grandeur. Villagers recall Sully's visits, always arriving in a 4x4 with tinted windows, followed by armed men. They remember his generosity, but also the fear he instilled. Despite his downfall in Birmingham, in Gorgushti, he was known as the Don, a title that carried both respect and trepidation. The British authorities, however, had other plans for Sully. During a raid on his Moseley home, police uncovered blueprints for his Buckingham Palace in Pakistan, a palace that would never be completed. The discovery led to further investigations, exposing the full extent of Sully's financial crimes. Sully wasn't alone in his downfall. His brother and close associates, including Rashid Khan, Shokud Zuman, and Mohammed Mughal, were also convicted for their roles in a massive mortgage scam. The scam involved the use of forged documents to obtain mortgages on 21 properties across Birmingham, which they then rented out, amassing millions in rent. The gang was ordered to repay over £13 million or face even more time behind bars. At a proceeds of crime hearing, Rashid Khan was ordered to repay £8 million within 3 months, or face an additional 10 years in jail. Shaukat Zuman faced a £4 million repayment, and Mughal was ordered to hand over £1.3 million. These sums, once the spoils of their criminal enterprise, now stood as the final toll on Sully's crumbling empire. In 2024, news broke that Sully, the man who once ruled Birmingham's underworld and built his own Buckingham Palace in Pakistan, had finally paid back a mere £1,700 of the £3.7 million he owed under a confiscation order. Despite the court's demands, the majority of his debt remains unpaid. After serving his time behind bars, Sully is now a free man. His release, however, has raised more questions than answers. His current whereabouts remain unknown, shrouded in mystery, much like the man himself. Thank you for following this journey with SN Studios. The rise and fall of Sully is a story of ambition, power, and the heavy price of a life lived on the edge. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring you more stories from the world of crime and beyond. Until next time, stay safe.